Stop wasting your money and time buying expensive razors. For just a couple bucks a month, DollarShaveClub.com will ship amazing quality razors right to your door. Come on, join the hundreds of thousands of guys who have upgraded to the smarter way to shave. Shave time, shave money. Join now at DollarShaveClub.com/patch.
This podcast is brought to you by Hover. Hover is the best way to buy and manage domain names. In less than 5 minutes, find your new domain, get it up and running, and start realizing your online idea. It's that easy. Try hover.com and get 10% off your entire first purchase with the code Hourglass.
Hey! Surprise! No intro.
No intro.
Sudden start.
We're kicking in the doors. Okay,
Flip.
don't do that.
A knock
Kicking in
and
the
flip.
doors.
Yeah, no, speaking of kicking
Yeah,
doors,
there you
way to
go.
segue right into a topic.
God damn it.
Yeah.
An awful topic.
An
An
awful
awful topic. We're not amused. We don't think it's fun. It's very shitty. It's swatting.
So, a couple of our friends, or actually one guy in a group of our friends, the Creatures, who were guests at every single RTX so far at the convention center, they got swatted while they were streaming Counter-Strike, which is kind of funny, actually. But getting
No,
swatted
not
sucks.
funny.
Getting swatted is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, somebody could have been fucking killed in that.
Absolutely. And it's just, I mean, even though he's okay, like, that's traumatizing shit. Like, having people, he's literally playing, he's like, oh shit, I think I'm getting swatted. And then they're like, get on the ground! Get on the fucking ground! And he's literally like sitting there, hands up. Like, that is so scary.
We should probably explain, people don't know what swatting is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
So if someone calls in a threat against you, usually while you're streaming or playing a game, and then the cops raid you and take over your house, essentially.
You got swatted.
You got swatted.
Ryan,
Yeah.
everybody, by the way.
Hey.
Thank you.
Oh, that's right. We
Oh,
introduce
hi.
everybody. Hi,
I'm
this
Burnie.
is Burnie
Yeah.
Meg.
and Ryan.
This is a thing where we were
No
talking
Gus.
about something directly right before the camera started rolling, and we just immediately went into it.
That's what happens when you cut off our intro. There's just no segue. It's just immediately into conversation.
It's just drop in, man.
It's without the music. That's all that separates us from the animals.
Got to get a running start.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they did this to one of the Creatures. They showed up at an office building, right?
Yeah, it's our office building, and then there's video because it was during the live stream, and one of the cops' radios spells out their office address. So now everybody has that too.
Probably, like, on the list of concerns, that's somewhere below having an automatic rifle pointed at my fucking head.
I get
Yeah.
I get that.
While I'm on the
I
ground.
get that, but
Yeah.
it's just I don't know.
It's
I feel
it's
like
assault in the wound.
What do you say on the phone that makes this kind of response necessary?
I don't even want to know.
Because it happens. This isn't the first time it's happened. It's
No,
happened to
this
a
is
lot
like
of
it
people.
literally has a term now.
Yeah.
That's how often it happens.
Any day now, it's going to be in Webster's. But by the
And,
way,
and sadly, we're just introducing more people to it. Sadly.
can we get a sign for our front door out here that just says, by the way, if you happen to be a police officer and someone's called you to this address, it's
Swatting
probably
is a thing. We're a company on
Here,
the internet.
please read this
just-
before. Can you accept this user agreement before you bust down the door?
By kicking in this door, you accept the terms and conditions of Rooster Teeth.
Because to be fair, we're in a basically a hangar at this point. So I mean, we could have a giant evil blimp in here. I could see them being concerned when they busted in the building.
Somebody
You never know.
tweeted me and said, like, well, listen, like, the police thought that building was full of terrorists and it's near a school, and just the phrase "full of terrorists" was just a hilarious mental image
To be fair,
me.
they shouldn't have called it Terrorist Incorporated. I mean, that was their first mistake.
No, there was a mistake.
Yeah, headquarters, we got trouble in Terrorist Town. I just, when I worked in telecom, and me and Gus and Jeff, we all worked in telecom before this. A big part of what we were doing at the time was transitioning the analog telephony network to VoIP, voice over IP protocol, which was a big deal at the time. And now it's like there's a billion products that do that kind of thing. But the biggest issue that always came up of why IP telephony will never take off is they couldn't deliver the layer of emergency services that you needed to. That was like, how are we going to have IP telephony? Because, if you call from your mobile phone and say, I need an ambulance, they show up at a cell phone tower, in the early days.
Yeah.
Because the destination, it's like, we didn't know when you, probably for a gamer who's watching this, whenever you see your IP address, you're like, I'm not in 3 cities away, but that's where the hub for your ISP is. And that's why your IP shows sometimes as being from a city that's not your own. Like, I show up in Dallas all the time.
Yeah.
And so that was always a big issue. But look, I mean, here's the problems we have with it. We have these layers where now people can spoof these things. They send data that they're at a location, and they send it to the Creature's office. They have the actual address that comes up and say, what would they say in this thing, do you think?
That's what mystifies me. I mean,
Yeah.
what can you say that will just immediately make the police forces drop all reason and go, no, clearly this is a credible threat. Like this, we have to bust this door down.
Well, we talked, Bernie, you and I talked about the guy who's in jail for saying like, lol, I'm going to shoot up a school.
Yeah, that court, the case is coming back in. He's about to go
Yeah.
before the court again.
Yeah, so you can say a lot of things that'll get you in trouble on the interwebs, I think is the lesson that we not know that we learned at the end.
Meg, let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
So here, pretrial begins. This is 3 hours ago. We're recording this on Wednesday, August 27th. It's in New Braunfels. Pretrial for Justin Carter started Tuesday in New Braunfels. Carter is a New Braunfels man who police claim threatened to shoot up a school on a Facebook post in 2012. But it was of anyone who's read this. It was a completely sarcastic comment related to something that happened in an online video game match where he was being like, he was mad and he was rage quitting. And they said, you're going crazy. And I'm paraphrasing here. But he just said, oh yeah, I'm so crazy. I'm going to go out and shoot up a school. Somebody in Canada reported him for posting that. He gets arrested in his hometown and he's on trial. This has been going on for 2012.
while.
It's been going on for 2 years at this point. 2 years of this kid's life is wrapped up on something posted on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get it because you don't want to be that person who saw the Facebook post and didn't say anything.
Absolutely.
But on the other hand, like, we've all said dumb shit on the internet.
Yeah.
I say it on a daily basis.
I've talked about this before with the mob mentality, and we just went through this with the whole Quinn conspiracy that came up with Zoe Quinn.
Right.
Is that like, and we don't think we've talked about this on the patch. We made a decision that it sounds like all personal things that people do in their lives.
I literally tweeted that it was nightmare fuel, and that's the only way I can think to describe it. It's just like the whole thing all the way around, just nightmare fuel.
And what you have is that, especially in people's personal lives, like the Zoe Quinn thing, but just like this guy who did something in public. Everybody, especially when we're younger, we all make mistakes, bad mistakes. And somebody's like, wow, remember when I did that? Or I almost died or did that. Or I make a big something that could have been criminal, like I set a field on fire or something like that. But there's occasionally what happens in the online culture is like somebody gets the spotlight for the mob. And of like they've done something that probably all of us have done, like this kid, Justin Carter, did, where he made a sarcastic comment on Facebook. But it's like, nope, we're going to punish this guy for this. And we're just going to hammer this one person for this mistake that so many people make. And it's like there's no forgiveness. It's just like everyone's moving in one direction. And yeah, he shouldn't make those comments. But you have to have punishments that befit what the actual crime is.
I mean,
and
it's
what is
like
the crime?
It's like when people were downloading like music illegally at first, and they were like $6 million lawsuit for a kid in Virginia, and it's like, well, I get you're trying to make an example, but that's not very fair for the kid you're making an example of.
Right? Yeah. It's like, you can't punish everybody through one person.
Right.
They're trying to deter crime.
Well, in this case, though, in this, it's a really shitty situation because one, justice can't have a sense of humor.
Right.
Like if all terrorists needed to do to get around it was just put LOL in front of every threat to avoid anybody looking into their activities, then that's a huge loophole. But at the same time, how do you as an outside party have common sense approaching one of those situations? It's just a terrible situation. I don't know that there's a good way out of it.
See, I would say the same thing too. How do you deflect a call that comes in on a 911 emergency services call? How do you deflect that and say, no, this isn't legit? They have to check out everything, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, like again, lest you be that person who I remember there was a 911 caller who picked up and it was a kid and he was like, my mom's choking. And they were like, stop playing on 911. And then his mom choked to death. And it was like that 911 caller tried to make a judgment call and was totally wrong. It's like, I get that they're trying to be overly cautious, but I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, though. That being said, you're talking about, with the creatures, he was in a business park, right?
Right.
So you couldn't take 5 seconds and just Google the address and figure out who owned it?
But shit goes wrong in a business park.
It does.
I mean, a lot of times if there's mass shootings, they happen in public places like schools or businesses, right?
It's true.
Disgruntled people show up. So it's like, what else would necessitate a SWAT team coming out and
Well,
kicking
I
in the door?
mean, they went to what they would have arrived to. They showed up on scene. Nobody's running around and screaming. Everything's quiet. I mean, it had to have been a quiet threat, like not someone shooting down the place. It's like there's a guy in there with a bomb. I mean, otherwise they would have seen things going on.
I don't know. I don't know what they called in, but when they open the door and see that he's literally just at a counter, like a desk with a counter-strike thing, and his hands are up, like, I still don't get the escalation of force that was there. Like, I still don't understand, like, the, like, screaming and yelling. And I understand they have adrenaline and things like that, but
no, they have to have control of the situation.
it's just, I get him having to get down and get handcuffed. Totally get it. It's just like, I feel like if I busted in and if I were in a SWAT uniform, I'd be like, oh, the kid's playing Counter-Strike. Something has gone awry. Someone has lied to us.
You would not make the SWAT team.
Excuse me?
If you go in with the automatic rifle, you're like, Oh, sorry. That's not part of the training. I mean, it's like a lot of times we see videos of police officers online and they're yelling and they seem to be escalating the force of the situation. That's intentional. That's a deliberate effort they're making to have authority in any situation.
Right.
Like they're screaming deliberately, get on the ground, very clear instructions yelled very forcefully because people just react to that and they do it.
That's true. We did talk about that with Ferguson a lot. We saw a lot of like police officers and military personnel talking about how they escalate force and the things that they do. I get that. I guess I wouldn't be on the SWAT team because I'd kick in a door and be like, oh, Counter-Strike, excuse me.
Well, I mean, I've
No, but
actually...
it sucks. I mean, it's 5 guys pinning down one dude with automatic rifles. It's just, you know...
It's crazy.
It's awful.
Admittedly, I have once been on the business end of a police raid.
Really? Oh my gosh, please share this story.
Nothing video game related. It was dumb, but some friends of mine and I, when I was living in Orlando, used to play with airsoft guns, and we'd gotten a couple new ones, and we were in the kind of the middle area of his apartment complex, just shooting each other with them and playing around.
Yeah.
Which I can see from across the way people got the wrong idea. And so we, had finished doing it. We knows people were starting to get uncomfortable. So we went inside, we weren't doing anything really that bad. A while later, somebody looks out the window and notices there's a couple of police cars kind of pulling up outside. And we kind of put 2 and 2 together that maybe things were about to go bad and put all the airsoft guns in the back room. And
they'll never find them there.
Yeah. Well, no, we weren't trying to hide them. We just didn't want them to be in plain sight when they busted down the door.
In the face.
Exactly.
Because of an airsoft gun.
And the way it happened to work was I was coming back down the hall from putting those away, and the front door was straight in front of me when they opened the door. They knocked. We opened the door, and on either side of the door was 3 guns. They were just like leaning to the side, pointing down. So I'm staring down all 6 of these weapons.
Gosh.
Have you ever had a gun pointed at you at any other point in your life?
No, that was it.
So the only time you've ever had a gun pointed at you in your life was from a police officer?
From the police officers.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to have to say. It's like I have had guns pointed at me twice in my life. One was from a police officer.
Did you get mugged?
I threw an egg at a police officer. I totally may have deserved it when I was in high school.
I meant the other one.
No, the other one was I was at a party and a guy had a gun. He was trying to sleep in the middle of the party and people were kind of giving him shit. And I gave him a little shit and then he pulled out a gun and pointed at us all. So we're like, go ahead and go back to sleep. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. Okay, so they've received a threat that there are people playing with guns.
Yeah.
They show up at this place.
That
they open the
seems
door.
reasonable.
None of us are handcuffed.
Wow.
No. So they open the door. They realize it's like 5 of us.
They did
kind of college age.
Yes, those people do make the SWAT team.
Well, they are human. They can make an assessment.
Here's the best part, though. They come in. So they kind of look around the room. They come in. Then everybody's told to put their hands up as they just kind of survey the scene. They see a thing of BBs, of airsoft gun BBs on the table and go, God damn it, where are they? Where are the airsoft guns?
Right.
Like, they're back there. I start to put my hands down to go get them. Like, no. But like, okay.
We'll go get them, sir. Let me go get the firearms.
I feel like I've only ever been on the side of them assuming. Like I was at Black Widow. Actually, I think it was in Faye Valentine. Doesn't matter. I was in a cosplay costume that had a Glock, and it's a very real. It's a Japanese airsoft gun that is weighted. It looks exactly like a Glock, and I pulled it out of the trunk of a car because I was going into the thing, and a cop was next to me, and he saw me, and there's no marking, there's no nothing to show that this has been inspected, and I'm like, I'm gonna get shot walking into an anime convention, and he was just like, oh, that's cool, let me see, and played with it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Now, are you dressed as Faye Valentine? Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully that was kind of the clue.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You got to take the context clues when you bust down a door or see someone with a gun.
To bring this back around to video games and everything else, I mean, the reason why all this discussion is relevant is also president of Sony's plane was grounded because somebody tweeted a threat that they thought there were bombs on board the plane.
Yes.
Or explosives, excuse me. It's from Lizard Squad. Be sure to follow them. At American Air. And they even put the little dot so everyone would see it, right?
Yes.
So they said dot at American Air. We have been receiving reports that Jay Smedley's plane, number 362 from DFW San, is that San Francisco?
No, it's
San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah, it's San Diego, has explosives on board. Please look into this.
I love how common. Excuse me, if you get a second, I believe there's a bomb on that plane. If you would just take a little look-see.
It's like, can you imagine that? It's like, hey, there's a bomb in that car. Oh, okay, let me tweet about that. It's like, who's gonna do that? Why wouldn't you call them? I mean, it's like
someone's got to get their favorites somehow, you know.
Yes.
I mean, and they clearly the way they structured this, it's so everyone could see it. Okay, Ryan, how do you take that seriously? Somebody writes that on Twitter. How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a stretch even for me. And
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they didn't. Well, they diverted his plane, so he ended up going to Arizona, right?
Yeah, and they landed, and then everybody in the plane was like pulled off by law enforcement. And he actually tweeted like, "I'm not going to talk about it. The law is going to get these guys," and like my plane was diverted.
You know, and that's the other thing too, is that we actually had a discussion before the patch. We're a group that's very much like the Creatures. And we thought, can we talk about this stuff, or is like, are we just inviting it ourselves? But fuck people who do this. At the end of the day, we're talking about how the police are handling the situation, how the Creatures are handling the situation, how you're handling your airsoft rifles. It's like, who's the person who made the deliberate call to do this?
Yeah.
That's the person who's got the problem.
That person's an asshole.
Yeah, at the same time, when this is going on with the president's plane, the president of Sony's plane, the whole network for Sony is taken down from a DDoS attack.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week. And then last night, Time Warner was out from like 2 to 8.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys, I woke up at 5 and my Ever After on Netflix had stopped. So I couldn't restart
Which
it.
clued you in, yeah.
Had to put in Hook the DVD.
I'm glad you said it first. That's all I'm going to say.
Actually what happened.
I
And
didn't want to bring it up, but damn, I
My
was upset.
nest was messed up. It was a hard night for me.
Oh, did it mess up your nest?
Yes.
Now that's really interesting.
Now I am
Because I
concerned.
I
No, I
had
am
to
concerned.
turn off Wi-Fi to control my thermostat.
God, if we get far enough along with that technology, it'd be really interesting to see if an internet outage affected power usage. Like all of a sudden people's AC just like shut off.
Well, because if Nest can't connect to, like if the Nest itself can't connect to Nest.com, it'll come up on my app as like offline, and you have to like physically walk to the thing to mess with it. Like you can't.
So what does
Savages?
it do? Is it unable to make decisions anymore? Is it just,
guess
it's all hot now. Make it all hot. Make it hot.
No, I'm actually sure it just operates like a normal thermostat.
Yeah,
At that point.
no, at that point it does, but it just, I had to walk to it.
Why does it have to go through Nest.com? Why you're on the same router
It's-
with it, right?
I
yes,
imagine you
but
hugging like, I missed you. What happened? I'm still here.
You went offline.
I couldn't tell you what Meg Turney's thermostat was after
Yeah, the
so
Nest,
long.
the Nest company is just like watching in my window, and since I couldn't connect to them, they were like, "Fine, to hell with you. You can't use your thermostat." But there've been a lot of like DDoS attacks. Xbox Live was under
It was
attack.
down for a while, yeah.
PSN. It's been kind of crazy.
Your Nest thermostat account is next, by the way. You're going to go home. It's going to be 95 degrees in your house. It's going to be, the heat's going to be on August 28th.
Thermostat just got swatted.
Yeah, but it's like, and on a very, very, very small scale. It's not even comparable to any of these things. But on Monday, I did just a random social experiment. I said, I'm going to tell the podcast audience what I got Gavin for Christmas. And you all know Gavin's account, Twitter account, but I'm going to tell you guys because I want you guys to know, and just nobody tell him. Instantly, 45 people told him.
Really? I thought about asking.
In 10 seconds.
Only
I
45?
thought about asking Twitter. Oh, I did ask Twitter if I knew any oil painters, and I thought about saying like thinking of getting him because he doesn't see anything I tweet. So I thought about saying something like thinking about getting him an oil painting. Do I have any oil painter friends? Please don't tell him. And I thankfully didn't. I just asked if I had oil painter friends because I'm sure they would have told him.
Now they will, because now they know.
Oh no, I already did that. That's the picture of his butt that's hanging above our bed. I already got an
really?
oil painting.
Nice.
Thank you.
The ripped underwear?
Yes.
Nice. Was he mortified that you gave that picture to somebody to paint?
No, not at all. He was really thrilled.
Has Gavin ever
Framed
been
it.
mortified by anything?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know.
Gav's more discreet than he lets on when he tells you a story about pooping his pants and stuff
Well,
like that.
usually he wants other people's
There's
stories.
some stories
Those
that
are
just for
smoke
him.
screens. Yeah. Those
Some
are all
stories that are
smoke
just for him.
screens.
Well, hey, let's talk about some game stuff.
Yeah.
We talked some bad stuff for long
Well, the
enough.
outage just sucked, and then Xbox Live went down as well. And they said
Yeah.
that was in response to the PSN going down, that somebody actively tried to take down Xbox Live.
Oh, was it like a
Well,
Sony
this isn't
fan?
fair. Sony's down, but not Microsoft.
It was a Sony fanboy like, oh, I got one of those too. I got a farm. Let's go.
It is a enormous effort to DDoS a
Oh, yeah.
network of that size. Meg was having problems a couple weeks ago with the PSN. I was having problems
Yeah.
that same day.
Yeah.
So I think we had a localized network issue, which I thought was interesting because I thought it told us a little bit about the geography of the PSN. And so like it's compartmentalized to different regions of the country, but they took down the whole damn thing. Like
Yeah.
nobody could get to the PSN.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But I mean, moving on.
But I
Granted-
didn't talk to you about that. I had that same problem you did at the same time.
Well, speaking of things on PS4, Last of Us is getting new stuff.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. What is
Two
Last
new
of Us
maps,
getting?
and then it's like 2 modified versions of guns that already exist. They're apparently putting a scope on the semi-automatic weapon and the burst rifle, which I don't know why you would want a scope on that because it's a close-range weapon. But
So you can say no scope? Can you now you can definitely be like, yeah,
now
by the
you can
way,
no scope someone
scope.
from 4 feet away. Yeah,
Yeah, got you, bitch.
It's Last of Us. You're like, no food. Like, there's nothing
no
left.
bullets.
That is the most dismal approach to the apocalypse, where everything's kind of still in place, but like you just have like a couple scraps of cloth and a bullet casing left. That's all you
strap
got.
it
Like
together.
everything's gone. You got nothing left. Half of a pair of scissors. You're very you're really happy.
Excited for a half a pair.
Yeah, you're super
pretty
excited about
solid.
that.
So
But,
as long as you don't find the kindergarten kind, because that's not good for making anything.
Oh, the
No,
safety.
Yeah.
or the
little
fucking
plastic
left-handed
ones.
ones. Who wants this? Have you been playing with Gavin the Last of Us multiplayer at all?
No, he plays with the Achievement Hunter kids. We play.
Kids.
Excuse me. It's a term of respect.
Is it?
Yeah, totally.
Young at heart. That's what she means.
No, you guys play Last of Us. We play PT.
Oh, wait,
Do you
You
really?
mean been playing the teaser over and
Excuse
over?
me.
Or?
We've gotten 20 minutes in, and we've quit 3 times because we were so scared. So we're pretty proud of ourselves.
Listen,
I don't want to.
I hit eject at the first door shut.
Yo,
I'm gone.
That was our first time we quit.
Yeah.
It was the first time she shut the door. Then we were like, okay, took a breath, came back. Then she's standing in the hallway, noped right out of there.
You know, it is a really unique gameplay experience when usually in a game you're like, I want to get there. How do I do it? How do I do it? And all your time is spent figuring it out. PT is the one game I've ever played where it's like, I know what to do. I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it.
I refuse. I know I'm supposed to look at this crack in the door and I'm not going to do it.
Exactly.
don't wanna.
I gotta zoom.
Something
I don't wanna
bad in
do
there.
it.
I can't think of another game where that's been the case. I mean, I've prepped myself for a big boss battle or something like that. But literally, like, I got to psych myself up to do what I know I'm supposed to do.
Walking
I can
Dead is
tell
probably
you.
like
I was
that.
gonna say
Yeah.
last night I played the last chapter in season 2 of The Walking Dead, and I won't say any
No
spoilers.
spoilers.
No spoilers. There was one decision where I paused it. I literally said out loud to the cat, because it's the only person who's home with me. I know what I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm not ready. Okay, I have to do it. And I made myself unpause it, even though I wasn't ready, because it was like I needed it to be as real as possible.
Just go ahead and finish it off.
I do the same thing. When I play we're talking about the Telltale version of The Walking
Yes.
Dead. I don't know what you even call that kind of game. But
It's the Walking Dead game.
yeah, but you call it
Oh,
like,
what
kind
type of
game
game?
is that?
It's like a choose your own adventure type.
I would
Yeah.
call it a choose your own adventure, like an interactive narrative.
Story time
Yeah.
with Doom.
And I will make my selections as fast as possible because I try to make it like I don't want to think about it and think how this game will work out better if I do X. I just immediately answer as though I was in the conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like in the conversation you would immediately choose whether someone lives or dies?
Especially in those frantic situations, yeah.
All
Well,
right,
because
yeah.
you have a timer, so it'll
Yeah.
like count down to when you can't make the choice anymore. And I will say that it's. I don't think there's a single decision this time. Usually they'll have decisions that are like, some of them are timers and some of them are like, you have infinite time, you're going to go this or that, X or B. There's none of those in this. Every single time it's a super fast timer. And it's like, choose.
Reflex, go,
It
go,
is
go.
so intense.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess that's what I try to do is I just try to go with my gut. I
Right.
don't know why. I feel like
No, but it's
in
the
that
best
game
kind
I
of
should
game.
do that.
And
Yeah.
actually, the PR people sent over a note that said, "Please play this. Do or do not do whatever you think your Clementine would do. Like, please play this as
Do
gut."
or do not
Yeah,
do?
you can choose. There are some choices where you can choose to do nothing, and that's usually in conversation. That's kind of a passive choice, but it's a very active choice in this chapter.
Interesting.
For an action. Yeah, usually. Have you played this at all?
No,
Okay.
well, I played the first season, but I haven't played season 2 yet.
About 75-80% of the choices you make are dialogue choices. And almost always in your dialogue choices, it's just nothing. You just sit there and say nothing.
Just
Yeah.
stare at
Yeah.
it.
It's a
Give
big
them
choice.
the evil eye. Yeah.
And I actually did that way more with one of the main characters in the first season than I did with Clementine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I did that on accident. When I was like I got distracted by my phone or something and didn't realize the timer was going and looked
Yeah.
up and she was like giving somebody the evil eye. I was like, oh shit, didn't want to give him the evil eye.
Bill will remember that you did that.
Yeah.
And they also have a new thing too on the menu, which I really think is cool, which is it's the My Choices section of the menu, which shows you your choices versus what everyone else who played the game has done.
Oh, you got that at the end.
Yeah,
right?
you get that at
Now
the
it's
end.
ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's like you can go look at all your choices on the menu because in Walking Dead Season 2, it's a Walking Dead. I'm not going to make a spoiler here.
Yeah.
There's 2 characters, and you have to make a choice between one living and one dying, basically, or make a choice that leads to that. I chose one character, and I've been playing for 3 more episodes with that character. And then I went back and looked at my choices, and I saw that I'm like in the way minority of who I chose. Like I'm a 26% or something like that. And I'm thinking, so everyone else is playing a totally different game because this character is really important to my game.
Yeah, I love going back. I got an early code for the 360 version, so my percentages are always skewed whenever I play. Because it's just me and the other reviewers, but I got one that was like me and like 16% of players made a choice, and I
Wow.
love when I get like a super minority choice. I'm like, yes,
Yeah, you
I'm
like-
so
You
different.
like getting exclusive content, basically.
Can I ask you a question?
Well,
so,
hold on a second. Let me read this.
Okay,
real quick.
sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
I'll
I
come
don't mean
back
to
to
cut
it.
you off.
No, I'll
get
come
right
back to it.
Okay. Is there anything worse than buying razors? I ask you.
Okay.
No? Okay. You got to remember that you need them in the first place. I never do. You got to sit in traffic to the store, which sucks because we live in Austin. And you got to find that locked plastic fortress they keep them in, and then find that one guy with the key who's not paid very well. And he's in the back texting his girlfriend or something else you don't want to talk about. After all, that's going to set you back $25. Never do it again. Join DollarShaveClub.com. For just a few bucks a month, DollarShaveClub.com delivers the world's best razors right to your door. DollarShaveClub.com is so much smarter than going to the store. Their plans start at just $3 a month, and signing up takes just 2 minutes. Then sit back and let the blades arrive like clockwork. Their razors are better than the big shave companies for a fraction of the price. You can shave with a fresh blade every week. No membership fee, no commitment, and they have a money-back guarantee. You have nothing to lose by trying them out, so stop trudging to the store for overpriced ragers. Overpriced ragers like Michael. Join Join DollarShaveClub.com/patch. That's DollarShaveClub.com/patch.
Ryan, we're there's a pink slip here for that last review.
Thank
No,
you.
I'm just
I'm going to turn the iPad over. So you were going to say, sorry.
what was I talking about? What were we
Walking
talking about?
Dead.
Walking Dead.
Choices.
choices, and
It's
I had
all
a
about
super
choices.
minority choice.
I was wondering, do these kind of games, which are so the actual storyline is so dependent on our individual choices. Walking Dead is one, and Mass Effect is the other series that I can think of like that, where little choices you make over a long period of time have a huge impact. Does that affect the kind of word of mouth marketing? Because like people actively don't talk about these games. It's a little different. I mean, do you think that Telltale is in a way hurt by the fact that I can't sit down and talk with you about like Walking Dead? Mainly because also it's like that interactivity and those choices become so important that it also like really heightens the spoiler aspect of those games in particular.
It does, but I think at the same time, you're encouraged to talk to other people, especially in season 2, because season 1 was like, I made this choice, same thing happened. But in season 2, it's so different. It's kind of like, ooh, I shot that guy. Did you shoot that guy? Ooh, you didn't? What happened? And then what? Like, you don't get to see it.
You
So
get
you're
twice
like,
the experience
yeah,
without having to play through it again.
Exactly.
For those of you that managed to keep your save data, unlike Gus.
Gus has had to replay The Walking Dead season
Really?
1 like 3 times now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I lost my Mass Effect 2 to 3 save. That was a fucking nightmare for me. That was awful. For those games, they have to have tools, and which Mass Effect eventually did, where you can remake those choices and build a save file based on the choices you made. You know, they really have to have that. And also,
Or like a quick choice thing, like
Yeah.
this, that.
Yeah, like Ultima games had that for the character generation. The Ultima series had for a lot of the games a gypsy wagon, which you would go in and have a tarot reading, and the way you responded to those choices for the tarot reading then built your character, and you didn't know that was taking place, but that's how you did it. And then when you went in the world, your character had a certain class, and it was completely based on the choices you made in there.
Interesting.
And it was
the
interesting
Morrowind series had a very similar mechanic. You could choose to use. You didn't have to do it.
Oh, really?
It would just ask you a series of questions like, how would you respond to this?
Right.
Fallout did it too, right?
That
Fallout
sounds
3?
like an
Yeah,
application.
Fallout's another great example. Fallout did the same thing, exactly. And it would build a character, and I think then after the fact, you could go in and modify it.
It never got me right. Never once.
Really?
Maybe it's the real you that you don't
Yeah,
even know.
exactly.
Maybe I've been denying my inner player.
Maybe you don't know.
Wait, do you mean that like you're in a playa?
No, I think far nerdier than
Okay.
that. Yeah.
All right.
Can
Yeah.
you say,
This is what
can you
I
say
meant.
that again? Only really nerdy.
Denied my inner player.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
there
That
it
would be.
is.
That's what's living in here.
I still want to believe that's the same thing. They're like, hello, lady.
My inner playa one. That's what that is. I think the guy who says playa like that isn't sitting down to Fallout 3.
Well, let's hit some of these other news topics.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
Firaxis is having their own convention.
But no Minecon.
No Minecon this year. They're going to have it early next year.
Minecon.
Minecon.
Oh, she's saying Civilization is having.
Well, the maker of Civilization.
So Firaxis, so it's like XCOM, Civilization, other titles like that. Firaxis is going to have its whole own con.
Apparently, yes.
But Mojang is not holding Minecon separately.
Right.
Topic.
Yes.
Minecon's not being held this
Saying
year.
like -1 convention, +1 convention.
Yeah, you just trade one. Yeah, it's the same thing, right? The people that play Civilization for the people that play Minecraft.
XCOM
Numbers?
has a new tabletop game.
It does.
That makes
Yes.
sense. That totally makes sense to me.
So
It seems like you're playing a tabletop game when you play XCOM as it is. I feel like, at least.
So they'll have a place that's like one of the saddest places in a convention is like the tables for tabletop gaming. But now it's gonna be awesome at this
Get
convention.
exploding with
You are
XCOM
going to get
players.
some very angry emails that you said that.
I mean, like nobody play. I don't mean like I feel like those people are sad.
I think your
meant like
profile
nobody.
has just caught fire, actually.
You didn't get what I was saying.
It seems like really late in the season, or that's okay. We'll just move on. We'll pretend it didn't happen. And it was nice knowing you.
It's always funny though too. It is like Hall Z where they put the tabletop group.
Yeah, like I wasn't saying anything about the people who are playing at those tables. I'm saying where those tables, they're always in the corner. There's like
Right.
a light burned out above them.
It's also the point.
They like the ambiance of the dark.
Except for at PAX Prime, they're in the middle between the two big halls,
Right.
And everybody's playing Munchkin, which I
It was
love.
when they used to have the Maidenbauer Center. PAX, by the way, we're about ready to go there.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to Canadian
I'm going to Fan Expo.
Fan Expo, but I'm going to PAX. In fact, Gus would be here today, but he's already up in Seattle going to PAX. There's about 5 of
Went
us that
to
are going.
PAX, really.
Yeah, he's already there right now.
Let's conjugate.
And yeah,
Grammar humor,
when
yeah.
they had the PAX at the
yeah.
Maidenbauer Center, which was the first 3 PAXs, I think. It was like this really cool setup where you could look down through all the levels to like an atrium lobby at the bottom. It wasn't actually the first floor, but below that, and that's where they had a tabletop, so you could see all that
that's
stuff.
cool.
And all I could think was, it's so tempting to just like drop a Coke down there.
Oh, that's not what I was thinking. I was like, oh, it's so tempting to be like, he has the boots of protection. Everyone, he has
cheat?
the sandals of protection from Munchkin.
You
Yell
think
it out.
anybody ever like decided they
You
really
would have
needed
Coke people.
they needed extra power and ran all the way to the top level to roll the dice? Just throw it all the way down?
Down all the escalators and everything.
Just go straight through the table?
I never personally witnessed that. No.
But yeah, no, Firaxis Con is going to be in September. It's $40 a ticket, and it's in Cockeysville. Cockeysville, Maryland.
Oh, yeah, I was waiting for the second part of that. I'm like, I don't know where.
Cockeysville needs no state.
Yeah, excuse me.
Cockeysville sounds like the first city you establish in every game of Civilization. And then their sister city, Butt Town.
And Cocktobia. Yeah.
Cockeysville. Sorry for everyone who's listening from Cockeysville.
You can, I apologize. You'd apparently be
Yeah, your
swarmed.
profiles are going to be on fire.
Cockeysville, Maryland. The population is 20,000 people?
All of them working at Firaxis,
I like that
guess.
it looks like a hand like this, by the way. This is what Cockeysville looks like on a map.
Cockeysville,
It's a little
Maryland.
hand that's ready to pinch your Cockeysville.
Oh!
If you go, I hate to say this, I think it's great they chose a small town. Maybe it's somewhere related to where their studio is.
Maybe they have business there? I don't know.
But it's not a studio, it's the publisher. Is it publisher / developer for Axis? They self-publish? Or they publish to 2K for a lot of their games?
Developer.
Yeah, so developers for Axis and the publishers 2K. But I love that Cockeysville is such a small town. If you go to Wikipedia and look them up, it's Cockeysville, Maryland. The picture of the city is a dude who took a picture out of the window of a plane. It's like a guy who was like snapping his photo like from Instagram.
Yep, there it is.
There's not even an aerial photo of the city that is owned by the city council. Apparently, this is what
Got
they
like
got.
a filter on it already.
Apparently, you'll get a tour of the Firaxis offices. So, yes,
so
they must be there.
That's
And
nice.
unique Firaxicon swag. Someone's going to blow me up for not saying this name right.
Firaxicon?
Firaxis.
They should have shortened it and called it Furry Fest.
I think that would have attracted a very strangely
Yes,
different
I
crowd.
know.
Well, I thought it was interesting. It'll be curious to see how they approach a convention because their approach to announcing Civilization After Earth at PAX Boston this year was really unique, where they had a panel. They said, oh, we're coming out with a new Civilization game. Everybody was like, oh, it's crazy. They showed the trailer. They said it comes out this fall, and then they left. There was no like PR events afterwards. They were just like, drop the mic, get the fuck out. And I thought that was a really unique way to launch. I mean, that's a beloved franchise, one of my favorite franchises of all time. Here's a new addition to the game, a spiritual successor to Alpha Centauri probably. And they was like, yeah, it's coming out. We'll
They
see
make
you.
you want it?
Yeah.
Do they make you want it, Bernie?
They make you want
You want it
it.
now, don't you?
You want it.
You want to look it up, don't you?
And at E3, they had some like walkthrough demos of it.
Uh-huh.
And that's
There's a couple
so
things
far
up.
all I've seen from the game.
There's a couple trailers up now on the Steam page for it.
Uh-huh.
And it hasn't tickled me yet.
It's different.
I want it to catch me.
It's different.
I mean, I was impressed by your siege worms, but
yeah.
how do they work for me? And yeah, apparently this thing is only from September, according to this, is from September 27th at 10 a.m. until September 28th at 10 a.m.
Aw,
It
it's
ends
like a 24-hour
at 10 a.m.
sweet civilization game jam in Cockeysville, Maryland.
Why would
24
you end
hours.
it in the morning? Is that the sweet spot for content is right there between 8 and 10? It's like, you guys go home now. We're done with you.
Closing ceremony
when is it
at
end?
9:30.
It's from 10 a.m. on the 27th until 10 a.m. on the 28th.
That seems like somebody made like a really ambitious party invite on Facebook, and they just didn't change the times. They're like, yeah, it's gonna go all day, baby.
It auto-filled in for him. My guess it would probably be then like just it's a 24-hour event and build that way, and it's also a live stream as well. Like it's like a 24-hour event, you know, which is not a bad way to run your first con. I think it's interesting these developer-based cons started with, I think the first one was, well, QuakeCon, I guess, going back all the way to id, but then BlizzCon, and then COD had a couple of events. I refuse to say COD, by the way. I'm not saying COD for Call of Duty.
Oh, okay.
People say COD.
You shouldn't say COD.
No, people do.
People say COD.
They do.
People
Yes,
say
they do.
COD all the time.
Someone
Yeah.
should slap them with a fish.
I say
Your
COD.
profile's gonna be on fire.
can't hack it.
Also, I got a text message. So
I'm pretty sure people. No! Gavin, you bastard!
Got you all the way from the UK.
can I have it back? Because I'm not done with it.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Also, it was a water bottle.
Yeah, that was
I
totally
was
cheating.
I was looking around for a plushie, and I'm like, you should have texted me before this started.
He waited for this moment.
He literally just now
Lazy.
texted me.
Lazy. Should
Time
not allow
difference got
phones
him.
any longer when Gavin's not here.
But I don't think that Minecon not being this year and being announced this year, I don't see that as a big departure. I don't think developers need to have a con every single year, you know?
Well, I mean, that's one of those things where people just get used to. It's like serialized content. I mean, if you had a show that only puts out an episode every now and then, it's harder to sell it.
Yeah, I guess so. But Mojang is a company that makes, you know, one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game of all time. And it's had huge legs. 5 years the game's been out there. A huge phenomenon. At some point, they either, with Minecon, based around this one property, they're either going to have to say, this game isn't popular enough, let's just stop the con, or get into a pattern where they have like kind of longevity, long tail thing, where they have the con on an intermittent basis, I would think. I don't think Minecraft is anywhere near that point yet. But yeah, but they would have to do that at some point, right?
I guess to be fair, at this point, Minecraft is so in the vernacular that they don't really have to try that hard to get attention. They can just say, "Oh, we're having it next month," and people will still come.
Yeah, I think, and a lot of people, we did a story on it on the Know, and a lot of people were saying in the comments that the original Minecon was very awkward. I didn't see anything from it, so I don't know why it was awkward, but a
does that
lot
mean?
of people said they thought that
Like
the convention...
DashCon awkward?
No.
No, I think that it was like the attendees were very young. I just
I think so.
gathering from the comments.
I don't know why you'd feel like this with Minecraft. A lot of times, a lot of people get surprised when they see in person the demographic for a group of people that likes things. You know what I mean? It's like but then again, it's like anything on the internet. The longer something's on the internet, the younger the fan base becomes because young people have time to be online. I mean, especially when conventions are planned during summer and holiday seasons. I mean, that's who's available and wants to travel at that point in time. College students are probably like digging into their pockets to go to Paris,
Right.
to go to Minecon. You
Right.
know what I mean? But parents with kids will definitely do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's true.
It is true. Thank you very much.
Pack segue?
Oh yeah, do you want to talk about PAX?
Yeah.
There was also the super awkward thing with Yogscast and Mojang in the first Minecon, where Yogscast took the mic, and it has changed a lot over time over what was said, you know, the interpretation of what was said, but the initial interpretation of what Yogscast said in their panel was, we're the entire reason that Minecraft is a thing, and that we should get credit for that and all that. That was, and then Notch actually fired back on Twitter, and they went back and forth for a while, and that was a really awful thing. And I think they got it all worked out. Like, the Yogscast guys thought they were completely misinterpreted in what they said, and that eventually it all did kind of even out. But that would be another reason why the first Minecon may have been described as awkward.
Just a little.
A little bit.
But I can see how that one event would really put off the rest of the convention. You have someone stand up on stage at your convention and say, "You're welcome."
Yeah, and you know, when you're at a con, there is an opinion too of like, or there's a feeling of how the con is being represented outside of the con. Like, you'll be at a con, you're like, as a San Diego Comic-Con, you'll be there and it's like, yeah, and this, like, the people got run over by the car yesterday, and you're like, what are you talking about? You're like, you're there at Comic-Con, you have no clue about the zombie walk incident, but it's the big story from everybody outside looking in.
Yeah, that's
and you
exactly
become aware
what
of that.
happened, because I was at Comic-Con, hadn't heard about it, and you and Ashley were like, oh yeah, did you hear about that dude who got hit by a car? I'm like, what dude? I didn't hear about that.
Nope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it happened the year before too. Stay away from cars at Comic-Con, everyone.
Or anywhere, really.
Yeah.
If you're not in one.
Stay away from Comic-Con.
Stay away from Comic-Con.
I mean, it's too many people in one place.
It's,
was, what,
and they
300-some thousand?
It's 130,000 is where it caps out at, and they just announced something about the renovations for the convention center that were proposed are not going to happen, so they will never be able to move the attendance cap up. It will only ever be 130,000.
That sounds like a good thing, honestly.
As long as it's in San Diego, at least. Yeah.
That's just too many. Yeah, as you said, that's too many people to service.
Well, they were talking
in
about
a certain
300,000
building.
for
Yeah, what was it?
Gamescom.
For Gamescom.
That was it.
And then Comet, the Japanese convention, had 500,000.
That's like half the country.
It's insane. I might be wrong on the number, but I know it was something ridiculous.
Gus always wants to go to Comcat, as a joke. And then Ruby was actually there this year.
Yeah.
As a joke.
Our Japanese.
Wouldn't it be funny if you sent me to Japan?
Right, exactly.
I did that same song and dance for TGS to no avail.
No, really?
Yes.
That fell through, huh? Sorry to hear that.
You laughed at me the whole time, and I was like, I'm gonna make it happen.
No, I just laugh at Alan about stuff like that. That's all. So.
Well, there was another interesting piece of news I thought that came up on the Daily Dot that adult women are now the largest demographic in gaming.
I love this. 36%.
It's women over the age of 18 are 36% of the gaming industry now.
That's right.
When that does include mobile gaming, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe it does. Yes, and it says something
so.
like, I just got to skim the article because I was like, oh, this is a cool story. I'm sad I missed it when it hit the web the other day. But they were like, fellas, Angry Birds has only been out for 5 years. I think it's in the last paragraph. Something about Angry Birds having only been out for 5 years. So don't say the girls are just casuals playing their iPhone games.
Yeah, sorry, male gamers of Reddit and 4chan, but Angry Birds only came out 5 years ago. Unless you want to try and argue that women have just been playing Bejeweled for the last 13 years, the math just doesn't add up.
Can we just talk about
This
how
quote
good
from
Bejeweled is, though?
Ajo Romano.
Good Lord. So yeah, let's talk about that.
Just kidding.
There's some games that like that and Hexic, like games that just like, and Geometry Wars. There's games like other people play and love, and I'm like, what are you fucking doing? I can't stand it. Can I tell you that when I read that article and that headline, I'm still skeptical. I don't. It might be my knee-jerk dude gamer reaction, but I'm like, for some reason, I don't. It's like numbers don't really paint the actual picture. Do you see gaming as a primarily female pursuit?
See, I do, because World of Warcraft for me is my mom and my grandmother and my sister-in-law and my brother. So of our group, only one male plays with us. So it's an almost exclusively female game for me whenever I play.
Yeah.
And they play at such a high level that I am very like, man, that guy's following me. I was like, I got him. Like, and
Yeah.
they're not the only women who play. So for me, I do see it as a female-dominated thing. I don't know if I would call it dominated in the jobs or the people who represent the industry, but I do think in the people who consume the content, I would say that I see as females being either equal or dominant.
Well, and here's what I wonder. So I'm in my 30s, and I wonder if it's just a generational thing. Like, a lot of the girls that I knew going through college were not into gaming. People in their 20s may have a totally different experience with that. And that's why maybe my perception usually is that it feels like there would be more guys, but that's because that's what I went to school with. That's the broadest number of people I encountered. The girls in gaming were probably still a minority.
And it was a while ago, too.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, a lot has changed people in college now is a decade later. I'm sure it's probably much more weighted towards Meg's experience.
And it's also fair to say, I think, that certain genres of games attract certain genders. And that, like, Call of Duty, probably male dominated, like shooters, first-person shooters, and things like that. And as a guy, even though I don't, like, actively try to fall in those buckets, I probably just do naturally. And so I immerse myself in gaming environments where it's mostly dudes, probably. And, like, I never played video games with my mom. But everybody on Xbox Live apparently has played with my mom. At least that's what they tell me.
They know her intimately.
Yes, but yeah. So I never had that. I never had that experience. You know what I mean? So it's like I said, it might be a knee-jerk reaction on my part, but even when I read that title, I'm still skeptical. But the data backs it up.
I'd be really interested to see a more specific breakdown in age ranges. I mean, right now it's just the bucket of 18 over. So I mean, where does that fall in terms of people? Yeah, as they get in like decade buckets.
Yeah, I would say probably, if I were just going to guess, it would spike between 18 and 24, maybe even just above that. Because when I went to college, Mario Kart was with all the girls on my floor. You know what I mean? So I think that I was of the generation where video games had just become part of the mainstream, and my older brothers were playing it, and that's why I was playing it as a kid. But when I started to get older, everybody was playing. Everybody had a Super Nintendo. Everybody had a PlayStation. So it was, I think my generation is a little bit more, girls are not like, oh, what is this thing? We're like, oh, fuck yeah. That's kind of my generation.
I can tell you that from another industry that's very close to the video game industry is when we were making the rounds with the Immersion television show, we went and talked to a number of different television networks. And we learned quickly But when we would go into networks that very specifically you think would like the fact that Rooster Teeth has a demographically heavy male audience, especially for some of our live action and video game related content, which immersion falls in that category. They would ask us to say, well, you guys probably have a big male audience, right? And I said, yeah, we're predominantly male, but we do have a lot of females. Go over the demographics with them. 3 different networks said this, and these are networks that you would be very surprised to hear this from. They say, yeah, we're not really looking for young male content. That's not what we're looking for. I mean, these were networks that were like networks for men, literally. And we said, well, what are you looking for? They said, yeah, we're looking for content that appeals to women over 40 because that's who watches TV now. It was like they weren't even trying to get the audience back that they had lost. They had lost that audience to the online entertainment already, and they were just like washing their hands, cutting their losses for that.
I think they're trying to tell you that men are easy to service.
We already knew that.
Hang on, I'm going to read this real quick. When you have a great idea and you want to secure a domain name for it, you want something catchy and memorable to represent your online identity. Hover gives you exactly what you need to get the job done. You'll find the perfect domain for your idea so you can get started, work on it, and move on into the next thing on your to-do list. Hover gives you easy-to-use, powerful tools to manage your domain so that anyone can do it. Meg, put down the phone. It's dangerous when you use that. You can get the perfect domain name. Oh, no. Okay, that wasn't too bad. And start building your web presence right away to take control of what people find when they search for you or your business online. Try Hover and get 10% off your first purchase by typing in the promo code Hourglass.
I like this is like a little sexy wave now.
Yeah. Until September 1st, 2014, all of the new domain extensions are on sale. Summer is the perfect time to start a new project, so we wanted to give you some encouragement.
Got a week left.
Every single new domain is deeply discounted. So you can choose whatever you want. Head over to hover.com to see a full list of new domains. There are hundreds of new options and lots of great domain names still available. Try Hover and get 10% off your first purchase by typing in the promo code Hourglass.
You know, I think we're going to see a huge surgence in people getting .com names just because you're going to need a central location just to manage all of your social media profiles.
Your own personality, yeah.
It is the number one thing I see on like any kind of homepage now, and including corporate things, is that like all the different social media places where they can be found. Like, and it's we were talking about this, actually it was a pre-recorded version of the podcast we did today for PAX, but we were talking about how when a social media network comes up, I'm just like, do I have to participate in this? Is this going to be a thing? And there's some I skipped, like I actively skipped for gaming. I skipped Raptor. I remember people started having Raptor profiles, and their Twitter accounts would update with like, "Oh, I'm killing homies."
And it'd always be like something catchy, like getting achievements in. Like the game title, Raptor.
Yeah, I have to admit that Ashley actually had one that would update, and I finally texted her one time and go, "Hey, you got to turn off these Raptor notifications." I don't
Seriously, you got to cut that off.
That they're going.
I didn't approve that shit.
we all have a reputation to uphold. But it's like you get these social media networks. It's like, and I never did Instagram, for instance, and I'm very happy that I never had to maintain Instagram. Yeah.
I've never gotten into Instagram for like comments or like messaging people. I literally just post a photo, it auto populates to my Twitter, and I use it for filters. I'm like, I look a little off in this photo. Filter, look great. It'll get my Twitter done. That is Instagram for me. People are like, why don't you update your Instagram more? It's like, well, I looked good in photos lately, so I didn't need a filter.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. I can just go straight to Twitter.
Satisfied with current content, no update necessary.
Apparently, those filters are worth about $2 billion. So that's a good thing.
Well, speaking of large purchases on the internet, Twitch.
Yeah.
Got Amazoned.
Yeah. What was Instagram bought by Facebook? Was it $2 billion or was it $1 billion?
Oh, was who bought by whom?
Instagram was purchased by Facebook back in the day.
I want to say
that I don't know.
$1 billion, but
they got Amazon got Twitch for $970 million.
$970 million in cash, which is a very relevant thing. Which means
So they showed up with briefcases?
No, it can mean a lot of different things. It just basically means
what bank
it's implied. And Amazon is publicly traded, so this will actually be able to be seen. Like a purchase of this magnitude, you'll see the breakdown. Like, and people will, report on that.
Like for what they got exactly in buying Twitch, like
it should be. It
10 million for computer desks.
The SEC will require like what the assets were, what was paid, how much was stock, and things like that. And Amazon's a public company.
I believe it was. I want to say I heard someone say it was cash. Like it wasn't like they actually bought it for that. Does that include stocks? I don't know.
You
say it's cash.
It's kind of a generic term, and they did announce that they were.
I'm just picturing that scene from The Dark Knight when there's a guy sitting on top of the giant pile of cash.
Yeah.
Like that is here's Twitch.
Yeah, no, it could mean
Sorry
mean
to the
cash,
dead
meaning
Asian
a
guy
big
on top.
wire transfer to a lot of different people, or it could mean combination. Usually when they mean cash, they mean they were paid up front.
Ah,
and
okay.
there's no
they didn't
process
finance it.
for like an earn out.
Oh, it's not like a
afterwards.
mortgage type thing.
Well, a lot of times with these acquisitions,
I
there'll
feel
be
dumb. I'm
No.
genuinely
No, I don't know
asking.
either. Yeah.
there'll be like a purchase price, and then there's an earn out period afterwards where they have certain goals, like based on their growth and stuff like that. Very typical thing that happens in these kinds of acquisitions. And in this particular case, it could be just like, hey, we think your platform's worth X. You guys are great. It might even mean that like if they were paid all that stuff up front, that the people at Twitch might just be gone. That's the big thing, is that they might just say, well, we built this company, we're off to do our next thing. Here it is, Amazon, take it and go run with it. That could be the case. I'm not saying that's the case.
Yeah.
We won't know until that you might never know what the contracts of an individual are.
Well, they did say that they're keeping the same staff, same building, same everything. Like they're not changing anything.
But they really said they were basically going to leave
Yeah.
them alone.
It would be dumb for Amazon to do anything but that in the meantime.
I forget the exact quote, but essentially it sounds like, again, Amazon's been sort of towing its way into the gaming industry for a
Yeah,
long
there was
time
some
now.
weird quote about like if we want to get into is that the quote you're thinking
I think
of? It's
so.
something like if we wanted to get into hardware.
They have a shared vision of the gaming future or gaming industry, is what Shear.
Also,
I don't know his
if
first name.
Amazon
Emmett Shear.
if Amazon paid in completely vested stock, that's a publicly traded high volume stock. That's as good as cash. Like someone can just liquidate that and get rid of it. That's fine.
Here's the quote, actually. Obviously, if we're going to be in the devices business, we have to be thinking hard about games. This is a quote from Frazzini. I'm not sure his first name. At the center of that is the customer experience, which is what's so interesting about Twitch for us. Twitch has the same point of view. They think long term. So Amazon really thinks that Twitch is headed in a really beneficial direction, I guess, for the gaming industry.
So how do you think that plays into the changes they just made? Because everybody was saying the changes they made with audio and all that was to please YouTube.
Yes.
And that now not YouTube. So
Well, maybe we'll see a rollback of some of that.
Well, Amazon, nobody understands licensing of content better than Amazon. I mean, they have Amazon Prime and they have their Fire devices and everything else and the Kindle. But I think it actually was done to be more palatable to YouTube and to Google. I think that's why those changes were being put in place. And I think they got a lot of blowback on it. And this is total conjecture on my part. I think Amazon showed up at the last minute in the 11th hour, which is not unheard of either, and said, hey, we'll do it. You know,
Interesting.
That's a lot of times why, you hear those articles that go out. It's like, when you hear about something that's happening, those things are out there because there's an interest and people are like kind of like, figuring out like which way something's going to go. And then somebody else has an opportunity to come in and do something big. And Amazon did something very big with Twitch.
I mean, initially, the YouTube supposedly offer, granted, it's a fuzzy number, but they were talking more in the billion, which 970 million.
That's $1 billion.
It's a billion. It's
That's
$30
$1 billion.
less. That's $30 million is still a lot.
It is a lot of money. It's $1 billion. Steve Martin had a great quote about that, though. And he said that if you have $10 and you buy a $1 loaf of bread, you have $9. If you have $1 million and you buy a $1 loaf of bread, you still have $1 million. And it's absolutely true. The basic cost for things is like relative to where your position is in life. And yes, $30 million is a ton of money. It is a ton of money. I mean, the fact that Facebook bought WhatsApp for $18 billion, somewhere between $16 and $18 billion, you can't even figure it out.
Yeah.
You can't even figure
When
it
you
out.
get into the numbers where if you were to give someone 1%, they would be rich, it's a pretty depressingly large amount of money.
Here's what I said is a large amount of money. If someone said, I will give you $1 for every number that you count, how high would you get? And you would be surprised, you would not get to $1 billion. You wouldn't do it. You would actively give up somewhere probably around like 4 million. You probably would.
Yeah, I could pull a ripcord at 4 million.
Yeah,
I'd be happy
I'd
with
be
that.
okay with that.
I would probably pull a ripcord at 1 million. I don't care. I'll walk away with it. Are we setting this up right now? You got it out back? Let's
I'm
go.
actually gonna, while you're talking, I'm gonna look up another stat. There's an actual, like, it just shows the difference between $1 million and $1 billion. It's the time it takes you to count to $1 million versus the time it takes you to count to $1 billion, and it's ridiculous. But I'll let you keep talking while I look it up.
Well, speaking of $1 billion, EA now thinks they're going to make $1 billion on just DLC this next year.
That's insane.
That really is very telling about the direction a lot of the industry's gone. It's
Just wait until they add early access on consoles.
Yeah. Well, do you think EA is going to dip their toes into that market too?
Yeah.
Yeah? You
If
think
there's
so?
money to be made, absolutely.
I thought it was crazy that people were talking about this. There's new Nintendo DLC for Mario Kart 8, and people were like, Nintendo does DLC now? Like, they were like one of the last big holdouts for. They've had it before, but they were one of the last big holdouts for doing things like DLC, and now they're doing it too.
Well, it's hard
It's
not
cheap.
to.
It's
How do you
cheap
not?
and it's actually very valuable what they have now, but it's a slippery slope before it becomes like $10, like that Assassin's Creed thing that was like, get those pants that are gonna make you faster. Like,
Wait, there are fast pants?
there's actually fast pants, and there was a sign for pants that make you faster.
A sign
if you
for
pre-order, there's a pre-order bonus.
Where can I see the sign for fast pants?
It's on Reddit. I'll find it for you. Find it.
If I don't buy them, am I pantsless?
Oh,
Or I just got mediocre pants, average
got
pants,
slow pants,
regular pants.
liar pants.
And nobody
They're
wants to
on
be caught in
fire.
those. They're so out this season. But yeah, no, I mean it's amazing. $1 billion. So I guess last time we were talking about $1 billion was GTA 5 making $1 billion. So that's a huge number. That's an entire title in addition to the title that you're already buying.
So I'm going to go back to my point here. So it takes you about 2 weeks to count to $1 million. It would take you 50 years to count to $1 billion.
I'll do it.
Wow. Yeah. No.
50 years,
Do I
$1 billion.
get a payout as we go?
No. That would be interesting, right? How high would you count if you had to count, and every number you counted, you get $1 for that number, and you can only get the money once you stop? How high would you go? Assuming like you can sleep and everything like that.
You said a
Like,
week for $1 million?
A
2
week?
weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks for $1 million. Yeah, okay, that was.
That's
by
including
the way,
eating and sleeping.
Just for full disclosure,
Yeah.
the site I looked that up on, the font was Comic Sans. It looked like an educational site, but I'm sure their calculations were at least somewhere in the ballpark.
There's
Nice.
the sign for pre-order fast pants. We'll put it. Yeah, it's real. I'm sorry.
Pants that increase my speed. That sounds like a negative sexual aid. Inverse.
that
Unless they come off really fast, like warm up pants. You're in the bedroom.
Like
Flop.
all Velcro all the way down.
Yeah.
Don't say flop when you're talking about
Flop.
taking
I
your
said
pants.
flop with a W, not flop with an L.
I mean, to be fair, if there was a comic panel, that was probably what would follow right after that. Flop.
I'm so used to on the podcast using like onomatopoeias whenever I talk, so that Jordan has something to animate. Animate flop, Jordan.
Yeah, the
Give that a
idea of
shot.
somebody putting that just sounds like it sounds like it's gonna go bad if you hold on your pants and then flop. Something has gone awry.
It just means the party's just starting.
Exactly right. That's where it's stage
I
one.
learned so much about flop today.
So before we go to PAX, is anybody excited about what you're going to see at PAX? Any anticipation for what's going to
Well,
come
I'm
out
not
of PAX?
going, so you tell me.
Well, I'm not going
You'll
either.
see more than we will because we'll be there.
Fair
You know?
enough.
I mean, you
I
guys.
won't
I'll
be
get the
there.
better view.
But I am excited about A Voyeur for September, which I was telling you about before the patch. So Team Meat, Edmund McMillan came out with this trailer for something called A Voyeur for September. The trailer was this really weirdly cut video of someone looking in somebody else's window and spying on a lady. And then it was intercut with like moon landing footage and like random black and white stuff.
Okay.
And they said it's a live action stealth game. They were making it for PC, Linux, and physical. iOS and Android, and physical, whatever that means. It's debuting at PAX at the Indie Mega Booth.
Physical name.
I feel like
Right?
we're witnessing the birth of Running Man or something.
So weird. But then somebody figured out that A Voyeur for September is an anagram for Super Meat Boy Forever. So it might be a new Super Meat Boy title.
Really?
They're just
Okay.
really trying to throw you off.
Yes,
Well,
I
now
think
what
so.
about all the people that are so excited about this live action stealth
Yeah.
slasher fic?
Was physical with a capital P or lowercase p?
I think it was a lowercase p.
Okay, so that could mean like physical media, like digital and physical.
I don't
like,
know.
I would do. Is it?
Or like an obstacle course.
I mean, I had another news post here about the fact that PC games have now gone to 92% DLC.
who
But
could have
we gotten-
possibly seen that
Yeah,
coming
really.
on this podcast? Who possibly could have seen that coming? And I'm very sorry that all of you were very wrong who wrote me on Twitter. Go fuck yourselves.
Well, this is still PC.
Thanks
They're
for
not talking
watching.
about consoles yet.
I know.
You know, PCs, you can
I
no
just
longer
got
buy
so
a physical.
much shit for saying that the future was headed towards all digital. I just got so much shit. And doesn't PC kind of lead the way for what the consoles are going to be doing? I mean,
Yes.
isn't it-
Yes, it
Master
does.
Race. PC Master
PC
Race.
always leads the way.
It's like the world's biggest softball right there.
Thank you. And out of the park.
And listen, everyone's going to write to me and tell me all the reasons why you don't like physical media or why you don't like digital media.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I totally get it. It's just the trends are headed that direction.
Well, apparently now they have to advertise the fact that they're going to have a physical copy of it. So there you go.
Yeah.
I think it's to throw people off. This
I've
idea
never-
of like a physical.
have you ever
This
seen a
sounds
game?
creepy. This sounds like night,
Yeah,
like Night
I
Trap.
think it's a
and-
Super Meat Boy thing.
No, we act like it's a weird thing. Have you ever seen a physical copy of Super Meat Boy? I haven't.
No, I think, I don't know. I thought they were making a play off the fact that the game would be physical because they're calling it like a real, like, I have to look up the actual phrase they used. Something that made it sound like you were actually going to be creeping on people. People were actually suggesting before they figured out the anagram that it might be a game where you have like it's on our phones, and if I physically see you, I can do something via our phones.
Yeah.
This is
like
getting
an AR
creepy.
game.
Yeah, like an AR game. But
I'm intrigued.
I'm hoping
But
it's just
creepy.
Super Meat Boy.
Yeah, so you're a big fan of Super Meat Boy.
Yes,
you
yes,
played
yes,
it on the
I love
patch
it,
once
I love it.
before.
Yes, it's so much fun.
What if it's just you have to strap like a GoPro to your head and follow people around all day?
I would do it.
Yeah?
Do you remember there was a game? I love games that are.
This entire building will be GoPro heavy.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's play nightmare.
What if the Let's Play for that was just a day in the office?
Typing.
Let's play.
Business meeting. Hit Y at the right time. Oh, you missed it. Your point fails. You're no longer employed.
You had an unprofitable quarter.
Sorry, you failed the quick action, and so the patch is now over.
Yep. It's ended. Thanks.
It is. No, it's really.
Is it really over?
It
no, it's
is over.
It is?
The
Oh.
sands of time
Yeah.
ran out quite a long time ago.
Sorry, everybody.
Sorry, audience. You failed the quick action.
All right, we're going to PAX, and then next week we'll be here with some people who...
You'll be at PAX. You will be at,
Fan Expo Toronto.
as well as
Barbara and Lindsay.
There you go.
Barbara and Lindsay, who will
And
be
then-
walking around.
They're going to be at my booth, C47, I think.
Oh, great.
All right.
Might be the wrong. I might have just sent everyone to the wrong booth.
But
Go
tell
see
us,
somebody at C27.
Tell us-
47? 47? Some booth.
Tell us what you would like to see at
67?
PAX, and we'll make sure to go by and see it.
Go
and we'll
see
be
all the
talking about it
booths.
next week on the patch.
Yes.
Bye now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
They're that way.